Admiral Catherine Steele Cape Thompson stood at the observation deck of Asteroid Mining Station Delta 7, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the massive shape taking form in the void. The HNS Thunderchild's hull gleamed under the construction lights, its dark surface drinking in the illumination like a hungry beast. 20 years of secret development, hidden resources, and countless sacrifices had led to this moment. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. Commander James Walker, her chief of operations, pulled up the latest construction data on the holographic display. "Main hull is at 98% completion, Admiral. The tungsten-carbon composite armor has exceeded all stress tests. Those energy weapons the Galactic Council is so proud of. They'll barely leave a scratch." Catherine allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had laughed when humanity kept developing kinetic weapons and physical armor. In their view, such technologies were as obsolete as wooden ships in the age of steel. They never understood that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. "And the main armament?" she asked, already knowing the answer, but wanting to hear it again. "The electromagnetic accelerators are ready for final testing. Each one can launch a 20-ton tungsten rod at 0.3 light speed. No shield in known space can stop that kind of kinetic impact." James paused, his eyes gleaming. "The secondary battery of conventional railguns and missile tubes is also complete. We've added some special surprises there too." A alert chime drew their attention. Lieutenant Sarah Morrison, communications officer, rushed onto the deck. Her face was pale. "Admiral, we're receiving a Priority 1 distress call from the Proxima Centauri colony." Catherine's spine stiffened. "Put it through." The holographic display shifted, showing a scene of chaos. Governor Michael Chen's face appeared, smoke and emergency lights visible behind him. "This is an emergency broadcast to all Earth forces. We are under attack. Multiple unknown vessels have entered the system. They're not responding to hails and have opened fire on our orbital platforms. Our defense fleet is—" An explosion rocked his position. "We need immediate assistance." The transmission cut out. The observation deck fell silent. James was the first to speak. "The Thunderchild isn't ready. We need at least another month for final systems integration and crew training." Catherine turned to face the massive warship through the window. Its hull was scarred with construction marks, power conduits still exposed in places. But the main weapons were operational. The engines were online. And most importantly, they had a crew. "Lieutenant Morrison, send word to all department heads. Emergency completion protocols are now in effect. I want all non-essential construction crews evacuated in 2 hours. Commander Walker, begin emergency loading of ammunition and supplies. We launch in 6 hours." 6 hours, James exclaimed. "Admiral, with all due respect, that's impossible. The safety protocols alone were written in peacetime." Catherine cut him off. "Our people are dying out there, Commander. The Thunderchild may not be pretty, but she'll fight. And that's all that matters right now." As her officers rushed to comply with her orders, Catherine placed her hand against the cold glass of the observation window. Beyond it, construction pods were already beginning to detach from the Thunderchild's hull, their work unfinished, but their time run out. "The Galactic Council thought they could keep us contained," she whispered to herself. "They thought their technology made them invincible, but they forgot something important about humans." She watched as emergency loading crews began streaming toward the mighty warship, each one knowing the risks but moving with purpose. "We don't need perfect. We don't need pretty. We just need a fighting chance." The Thunderchild's running lights began to come online, system by system. In 6 hours, humanity would show the galaxy why sometimes the most dangerous predator isn't the one with the sharpest teeth, but the one with the most determination to win. The mining station Proxima Delta shuddered as another energy blast struck its reinforced hull. Colony Commander Jack Harrison gripped the control console, his knuckles white. Around him, the station's command center was a symphony of emergency alarms and frantic activity. "Status of the electromagnetic harpoons," he demanded, eyes fixed on the tactical display, where 5 Drachnid warships circled their position like hungry wolves. Chief Engineer Maria Rodriguez didn't look up from her console. "We've reprogrammed 3 of the mining harpoons. They're not designed for combat, but the electromagnetic pull is strong enough to disrupt their shield harmonics, maybe even crack their hull plating if we time it right." Jack nodded. The aliens had expected an easy victory, believing their energy weapons and advanced shields made them invincible. They hadn't counted on human improvisation. "All personnel, brace for impact." The warning came just as another blast rocked the station. But this time, something was different. "Sir," Lieutenant David Chen called out, "they're moving into formation for a final attack run. Looks like they're tired of playing with their food." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time to show them why you don't corner a human. Maria, are those harpoons ready?" "Ready as they'll ever be." "But sir, we only get one shot at this. Miss, and we're dead." "Then we better not miss." Jack opened the station-wide channel. "All hands, this is Commander Harrison. Our guests out there think we're just some helpless mining operation. They think their fancy shields and energy weapons make them superior." He paused, allowing a grim smile. "Let's educate them. All sections, execute Operation Fisherman's Friend." The mining station's external lights went dark. Emergency power was diverted to the repurposed harpoons. The Drachnid ships drew closer, their formation perfect, their victory seemingly assured. "They're in range," Maria reported. "Firing solutions locked." "Send them our regards," Jack ordered. 3 massive electromagnetic harpoons, originally designed to grab and stabilize asteroids, launched simultaneously. The Drachnid shift shields, calibrated for energy weapons, failed to stop the physical projectiles. The magnetized tips struck true, embedding deep into the lead ship's hull. "Full power to the electromagnets," Jack shouted. "Let's go fishing." The harpoon's electromagnetic fields intensified, creating a devastating push-pull effect on the alien ship's metal hull. Stress fractures appeared almost instantly. The Drachnid vessel's sleek design, never intended to withstand such forces, began to buckle. "Their shields are fluctuating," David reported, excitement in his voice. "The electromagnetic interference is playing hell with their systems." The lead ship's hull finally gave way with a spectacular display of tearing metal and venting atmosphere. Its companion vessels, caught off guard by the primitive yet effective attack, broke formation. "Secondary mining charges, deploy now," Jack commanded. Dozens of small explosives, normally used for breaking up asteroids, launched from hidden ports around the station. The Drachnid ships, their formations broken, their shields still disrupted by the electromagnetic interference, could only watch as the charges detonated in a carefully planned pattern. "Multiple direct hits," David called out. 2 enemy ships heavily damaged. The others they're retreating." The command center erupted in cheers, but Jack kept his eyes on the display. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made first contact, and it wasn't friendly. Also," he looked at the wreckage of the destroyed Drachnid ship, "tell them we've learned something important about our new friends. They may have better technology, but they've forgotten the most important rule of combat." Maria looked up from her console. "What's that, sir?" "It's not the weapon that matters. It's how you use it." Jack watched as the remaining Drachnid ships disappeared into FTL. "And we humans, we can turn anything into a weapon when we need to." The victory at Proxima Delta would soon be overshadowed by larger battles, but it marked a critical moment in human history. It was the day that Galaxy learned that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their refusal to accept defeat and their ability to find solutions in the most unlikely places. The Drachnid Fleet Admiral Zex Thor watched the battle footage from Proxima Delta for the 12th time, his upper mandibles clicking in frustration. "Impossible," he muttered. "Defeating our advanced warships with mining equipment. These humans are either brilliant or insane." His strategic analysis was interrupted by a priority alert. New contacts had been detected emerging from the Sol system's asteroid belt. The initial scans made no sense. "My lord," his sensor officer reported, "we're detecting a massive vessel. But it's unlike anything in our database. No energy shields, no plasma weapons, just metal and kinetic weapons." First Officer Marcus Rodriguez stood at his station on the HMS Thunderchild's bridge, his hands dancing over the helm controls as the massive warship emerged from its asteroid cradle. Behind him, Admiral Catherine Thompson sat in the command chair, her expression set like stone. "Engineering reports all systems operational," Lieutenant Commander Emily Parker announced, though Chief Mitchell says he'd appreciate another month to make her pretty. "Pretty is for parades," Catherine replied. Status of the main battery. All electromagnetic accelerators show green, Weapons Officer John Davidson reported. Railgun clusters are charged and ready. Point defense grid is online. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Admiral. The Thunderchild's massive form cast a shadow over the nearby asteroids. Its hull was a patchwork of hastily completed armor plates and exposed framework, but its weapons were fully operational. Rows of railgun turrets lined its flanks, while the massive electromagnetic accelerators, capable of launching building-sized projectiles at relativistic speeds, dominated its spine. Multiple Drachnid warships altering course to intercept, Rodriguez reported. "They're charging weapons. Looks like they want to test us." Catherine allowed herself a small smile. "Then let's not disappoint them. All hands, battle stations." Mr. Rodriguez set course for the enemy fleet. "Let's show them what humanity has been working on." The Thunderchild's engines flared to life, its massive form moving with surprising grace for something of its size. The Drachnid fleet approached, their energy weapons charging, their shields at maximum power. "Enemy fleet is launching their first salvo," Parker announced. "Multiple plasma torpedoes incoming." "Hold course," Catherine ordered. "Let them see what real armor can do." The plasma torpedoes struck the Thunderchild's hull, where they expected to see devastating damage. The Drachnids instead watched as their most powerful weapons were absorbed and dissipated by the specialized composite armor. Hull temperature rising, but within parameters, engineering reported. No significant damage. Admiral Zex Thor's bridge crew fell silent as they watched their attack fail. "Impossible," he whispered. "No ship can survive that kind of direct hit without shields." "We're in range of the main battery," Davidson announced, his voice steady despite the excitement. Catherine leaned forward in her chair. "Select your target, Mr. Davidson. Show them why sometimes the old ways are the best ways." The Thunderchild's main electromagnetic accelerator powered up, the massive weapon drawing enough energy to power a small city. A 20-ton tungsten rod was loaded, its surface treated with special composites to maintain structural integrity at relativistic speeds. "Target locked," Davidson confirmed. "Firing solution computed. Fire." The electromagnetic accelerator released its payload with a silent flash. The tungsten rod, moving at a significant fraction of light speed, crossed the space between the ships in seconds. The Drachnid flagship shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been paper against the raw kinetic force. The rod punched through the alien ship from bow to stern, its kinetic energy converting to heat and light in a spectacular display of physics. The Drachnid flagship split apart like a broken toy, its advanced technology useless against such basic, overwhelming force. "Direct hit," Davidson reported, unable to keep the pride from his voice. "Enemy flagship destroyed. Remaining vessels are breaking formation." Catherine stood, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Send a message to all enemy vessels. Tell them that humanity is done playing by their rules. The galaxy wanted us to stay small and weak. Instead, we built something better. We built something stronger. We built the future." The Thunderchild's silhouette against the stars became a symbol that day. A remember that sometimes the most effective solutions don't require the most advanced technology. They just require the will to use what you have in ways no one expects. The space around Jupiter's moons erupted in a dance of light and shadow as the Thunderchild engaged the main Drachnid battle fleet. Admiral Catherine Thompson watched the tactical display with calculated interest as 30 enemy vessels moved to surround her ship. "They're deploying in the Nomad 7 formation," First Officer Rodriguez reported, his hand steady on the controls. "Looks like they've been studying old human naval tactics." "Pity they didn't study them well enough," Catherine replied. Status of the enemy fighter screen. Lieutenant Sarah Phoenix Blackwood's voice crackled over the comms. "Thunder Squadron is ready. Admiral, our pulse jets may be outdated by their standards, but these neural-linked fighters of theirs are predictable as hell." The enemy fleet launched their first wave. Hundreds of sleek, purple-hulled fighters controlled by artificial intelligence. They moved in perfect formation, their energy weapons charging. "Launch Thunder Squadron," Catherine ordered. "Show them why human pilots still matter." "Mr. Davidson, prepare the point defense grid. Let's give our pilots some cover fire." The Thunderchild's launch bays opened, releasing 24 fighters. Unlike the elegant alien craft, these were brutalist designs of sharp angles and exposed weapon hardpoints. The human pilots broke formation immediately, flying in what looked like chaos to alien eyes. "Those humans are mad," High Commander Vextrol observed from his flagship. "Their formations are broken, their approach vectors random. They cannot hope to." His voice cut off as the first wave of his fighter screen began to disappear from his tactical display. Sarah's voice was full of satisfaction as her squadron tore through the enemy formation. "Their AI can't handle unpredictability, Admiral. They're looking for patterns that don't exist." The space around the Thunderchild became a storm of metal as its point defense grid activated. Thousands of tungsten slugs created a wall of kinetic kill vehicles, shredding any enemy fighter that got too close. The alien forces had never seen anything like it. Their shields were calibrated for energy weapons, not this storm of physical projectiles. "Main Drachnid fleet is moving into energy weapon range," Rodriguez reported. "They're charging something big." Catherine nodded. "They think they need bigger guns." "Mr. Davidson, show them our solution to that problem." "Execute Maneuver Strike Pattern Echo." The Thunderchild's main batteries rotated, but instead of targeting the enemy ships, they aimed at the space between them. Multiple tungsten rods launched at relativistic speeds, their paths intersecting in a complex pattern. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The kinetic projectiles collided with each other in the midst of the enemy fleet. The resulting explosion of shrapnel and debris created an expanding cloud of hypervelocity particles. The Drachnid ship's shields flared as they tried to stop thousands of pieces of shrapnel moving at significant fractions of light speed. Multiple hull breaches detected in enemy vessels, Davidson reported with professional satisfaction. Their shields are failing against the sustained kinetic impacts. "Thunder Squadron, clear the engagement zone," Catherine commanded. All batteries switched to synchronized fire. Target their command ships. "Let's end this." The Thunderchild's hull blazed with light as every weapon system fired in concert. Rail guns created lanes of death through space, while the main accelerators launched their city-killing rods with surgical precision. The Drachnid fleet, their formations broken, their fighters in disarray, began to fall apart under the onslaught. Enemy fleet is attempting to regroup, Rodriguez called out. They're trying to open a jump point. Catherine stood from her command chair. Not today. Mr. Davidson, calculate a firing solution for their jump point coordinates. Let's show them one last trick. The Thunderchild's final salvo targeted the space where the enemy fleet was attempting to retreat. The relativistic rods interfered with the jump point formation, causing a cascade failure that forced the remaining Drachnid ships back into normal space. Enemy fleet is surrendering. Communications reported. They're requesting terms. Catherine looked at the tactical display, where the debris of what had been the pride of the Drachnid fleet floated in the cold light of Jupiter. Signal all ships. The Battle of Jupiter is over. Humanity stands undefeated. The first major battle had been won not with advanced technology, but with human ingenuity, unconventional tactics, and the willingness to think beyond traditional warfare. The galaxy would never be the same. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council erupted in chaos as Ambassador Diana Wells stood at the podium, her expression calm despite the storm of accusations flying around her. The massive holographic display behind her showed footage of the Thunderchild's battle at Jupiter, each frame drawing gasps and shouts from the assembled delegates. This is an outrage. The Drachnid representative, Lord Kexnar, slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor. The humans have violated every treaty concerning weapons development. That monstrosity they've built goes against all civilized warfare protocols. Diana's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Civilized warfare. Would that include your unprovoked attack on our mining colonies, or perhaps the use of banned neural disruptors on civilian targets? She gestured, and the display changed to show evidence of Drachnid war crimes. While you were all concerned about our primitive technology, the Drachnid Empire was developing weapons specifically designed to cause maximum suffering to organic beings. The chamber fell silent as images of devastated human colonies played across the screen. Chief Engineer Thomas Wrench Mitchell, standing behind Diana, activated a small device. A holographic projection of a neural disruptor appeared above the council floor. This weapon, Thomas explained, his voice carrying the weight of technical authority, was designed to bypass all known shield technologies. It doesn't kill. It simply makes you wish you were dead. We found these in every Drachnid ship we captured. The Xerillian representative, a species known for their strict adherence to military honor, leaned forward. These accusations are serious, Lord Kexnar. If true, they constitute violations of the Galactic Concordat. Diana pressed her advantage. The Thunderchild was built because we knew this day would come. Humanity was restricted from developing energy weapons and shield technology, so we looked to our past instead. We built something that could defend our people using principles as old as Newton himself. But the scale of destruction. Another representative protested. Your kinetic weapons could devastate entire worlds. Unlike the planet-cracking energy weapons that several council members have been developing in secret, Diana countered, changing the display again. We've been watching. We've been learning. The Thunderchild may be built from primitive technology, but at least we're honest about its purpose, to defend, not to conquer. In the back of the chamber, Admiral Catherine Thompson watched the proceedings with interest. She had been ordered to attend by Earth Command, though politics had never been her strong suit. Next to her, First Officer Rodriguez whispered, "They're starting to crack. Look at the Drachnid representative's secondary arms. They're twitching." The Council's High Minister, an ancient being of pure energy, raised their voice above the din. Perhaps we have been too quick to dismiss human innovation. Their solution, while unorthodox, has proven effective. And these accusations against the Drachnid Empire cannot be ignored. Thomas steps forward again, this time with a different hologram. We're not here just to point fingers. The Thunderchild's success has taught us something important. True strength comes from diversity of approach. We're willing to share some of our developments in exchange for fair access to galactic technology markets. The chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time the tone was different. Several representatives were already making notes, their aides hurrying to arrange private meetings. Diana's final words cut through the noise once more. The galaxy thought they could keep humanity safe by keeping us limited. Instead, they almost guaranteed their own destruction by forcing us to think outside their carefully constructed box. We don't want war. We never did. But if you force us to fight, we will use every tool at our disposal, whether you consider it primitive or not. As the session ended, Catherine caught Diana's eye and nodded. The political battle had been as important as the military one, and both had been won with the same human traits: adaptability, ingenuity, and the absolute refusal to accept artificial limitations. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through advanced technology, but through the strength of human determination and the power of looking back to move forward. The massive form of the Drachnid dreadnought World Ender emerged from hyperspace, leading a fleet of over 200 warships. High Admiral Zexthor stood on his command bridge, all four of his hearts beating with anticipation. The humiliation at Jupiter would be avenged, and the upstart humans would learn their place. Contact in the Saturn debris field, his sensor officer reported. It's the Thunderchild, my lord. They appear to be mining. Zexthor's mandibles clicked in amusement, so the great human warship has been reduced to gathering rocks. Prepare the fleet for, my lord. The officer's voice rose in alarm. The debris field. It's moving. Aboard the Thunderchild, Admiral Catherine Thompson allowed herself a small smile. Execute Operation Avalanche. Let's show them why you should never corner a species that evolved as pack hunters. First Officer Rodriguez's hands flew over his controls, releasing magnetic tethers. All mining charges are in position. The dance floor is ready, Admiral. The Saturn debris field, which the Thunderchild had spent days carefully arranging, began to move. Thousands of ice chunks and rock fragments, each fitted with small maneuvering thrusters and explosive charges, created a lethal ballet of motion. Enemy fleet is advancing, Lieutenant Commander Emily Parker reported. They're launching fighters. A lot of fighters. Let them come, Catherine responded. Mr. Davidson, begin the music. The Thunderchild's rail guns opened fire, not at the enemy ships, but at the debris field. Each impact sent chunks of ice and rock spinning in new directions, creating an expanding cloud of high-velocity projectiles. The Drachnid fighters, their advanced targeting systems confused by the chaotic motion, began to fall apart. Thunder Squadron, you're clear to launch, Catherine commanded. Show them how real pilots handle a mess. Sarah Phoenix Blackwood led her fighters through the debris field with impossible precision, where the AI-controlled Drachnid fighters struggled to compute safe paths. Human instinct and experience prevailed. The kill count started rising immediately. Enemy capital ships are holding position, Rodriguez reported. They're charging their main weapons. Perfect. Catherine leaned forward. Release the solar charges. Hidden among the debris were thousands of miniature solar flare simulators designed by Chief Engineer Mitchell. As they activated, the battlefield was suddenly filled with radiation and electromagnetic interference that played havoc with the Drachnid's energy-based systems. On the World Ender, Zexthor watched in horror as his fleet's sophisticated targeting systems began to fail. Impossible. They're using the environment itself as a weapon. The Thunderchild burst from the debris field, its hull scared but intact. Its main electromagnetic accelerators had been modified, now launching specialized rounds that split into hundreds of smaller projectiles mid-flight. "Broadside battery, fire at will," Catherine ordered. "Show them why humanity never abandoned kinetic weapons." The space around Saturn lit up as the Thunderchild's full arsenal was unleashed. Rail guns created corridors of death through the enemy formation. Mining charges detonated in sequence, turning debris into hypervelocity shrapnel. Thunder squadrons struck from multiple angles, using the chaos to their advantage. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," Parker called out. "Their shields are failing under the combined effects of radiation and kinetic impacts." The World Ender turned to bring its main gun to bear on the Thunderchild. The massive energy weapon began to charge, its power signature off the charts. "They never learn," Catherine sighed. "Mr. Rodriguez, execute maneuver Slingshot 7. The Thunderchild fired its maneuvering thrusters, using Saturn's gravity well to accelerate in an impossible arc. As the World Ender's weapon fired, the human ship was already behind it, main batteries aligned with the Dreadnought's engines. "Fire everything," Catherine commanded. The combined force of the Thunderchild's weapons tore through the World Ender's rear shields, already weakened by the environmental effects. The massive ship's spine cracked under the assault, its reactor going critical moments later. As the remnants of the Drachnid fleet retreated in disarray, Catherine stood at her command station. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them the largest Drachnid fleet ever assembled just learned why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to turn anything and everything into an advantage." The research labs aboard the Thunderchild hummed with activity as Chief Engineer Thomas Wrench Mitchell examined the captured Drachnid technology. Around him, a team of engineers and scientists worked to understand and adapt the alien innovations to human use. "Look at this," he called out to Admiral Catherine Thompson, who had come to check on their progress. "Their energy weapon systems are actually less efficient than they could be. They're so focused on pure power output that they've overlooked basic thermodynamic principles." Catherine picked up one of the alien power cores. "Can we use this?" "Better." Thomas grinned. "We can improve it." The Drachnids never considered using kinetic energy recycling in their weapon systems. "We're already implementing a hybrid design that captures the recoil energy from our rail guns to power secondary systems." Across the galaxy, other species were scrambling to understand and copy the Thunderchild's success. The Zerillian Empire had already launched 3 new warships with composite armor, while the Mercian Confederation attempted to recreate Earth's electromagnetic accelerator technology. In the ship's combat simulation chamber, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Phoenix Blackwood pushed her fighter squadron through another complex maneuver. The holographic environment around them mimicked the chaos of the Saturn battle. "They're still not getting it," she reported to Catherine later. "Our allies keep trying to program their combat AI to mirror our tactics, but they're missing the point. It's not about the maneuvers themselves. It's about the human ability to improvise and adapt mid-flight." "Show me," Catherine requested. Sarah pulled up the combat footage. "Watch this sequence. When the Drachnid fighters encountered our debris field, their AI took 1.3 seconds to calculate each new vector, a human pilot." She gestured to another screen showing Thunder Squadron's response. "We don't calculate. We feel. We react. We use instincts honed by millions of years of evolution as pursuit predators." In the Strategic Command Center, Tactical Officer Michael Numbers Davidson had created a new battle plan that looked more like abstract art than military strategy. Multicolored lines crisscrossed the display, showing attack vectors that seemed to make no sense until viewed as a complete system. "The beauty of human warfare," he explained to a group of Allied military observers, "is that it's not just about the technology. It's about using everything available to us. Every piece of debris, Every gravitational field, every enemy assumption becomes a weapon in our arsenal. The observers watched in amazement as he demonstrated a new tactic that used enemy shield harmonics to create constructive interference patterns, turning their own defensive technology against them. Meanwhile, First Officer Rodriguez was conducting training sessions with Allied ship crews, teaching them the fundamentals of human combat philosophy. Forget everything you know about superior technology, he instructed. The most advanced weapon in the universe is useless if you can't think beyond its intended purpose. To demonstrate, he had the crews participate in a simple exercise. Disable an enemy vessel using only mining equipment and salvaged parts. The results were enlightening. Species that had relied on advanced technology for millennia struggled to think in terms of basic physics and mechanical advantages. Back in her ready room, Catherine reviewed the reports from across human space. Every colony, every station, every ship was innovating in its own way. Mining outposts had developed new ways to use excavation equipment as defense systems. Research stations had created early warning systems using nothing but gravitational sensors and debris fields. We're not just staying ahead of them, she noted to her senior staff. We're changing how the galaxy thinks about warfare itself. Thomas added the final piece to their new hybrid weapon system, a combination of captured energy technology and human kinetic innovation. The real victory, he said, isn't that we built better weapons. It's that we never stopped thinking about how to use what we already had in new ways. As the Thunderchild continued its patrol, the message spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or even their determination. It was their ability to look at the universe, not as it was supposed to be used, but as it could be used. And that was something no other species had yet managed to copy. The Drachnid homeworld's orbital defense grid hummed with energy as the combined fleet of the Galactic Council assembled. At its center, the Thunderchild led a formation of what appeared to be civilian ships, mining vessels, cargo haulers, and even passenger liners, all modified with makeshift weapons and armor. Admiral Catherine Thompson stood on her bridge, surveying the enemy defenses. Status of the civilian fleet. Ready and eager, First Officer Rodriguez reported. Every ship has been modified according to Chief Mitchell's specifications. The mining vessels have their electromagnetic harpoons. The cargo ships have been loaded with our special delivery packages. Even the passenger liners have their role to play. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Blackwood's voice crackled over the comms. Thunder Squadron is ready, Admiral. Our new hybrid fighters are performing better than expected. The Drachnid High Command had assembled their greatest defense fleet, thousands of warships protecting their homeworld. Their advanced sensors scanned the approaching human fleet with dismissive confidence. They still don't understand, Catherine observed. They see our civilian ships as a sign of desperation. They haven't realized that humans can turn anything into a weapon. Thomas Wrench Mitchell's voice came through from engineering. All ships report ready for Operation Thunderstruck. Admiral, the modifications to their power systems are holding steady. Catherine took her command chair for what could be the final battle. Send the message to all ships. Today, we show the galaxy why humanity never needed energy weapons or advanced shields. We just needed to be ourselves. The battle began with a symphony of unexpected moves. Mining vessels released clouds of magnetized ore that formed improvised shield screens. Cargo ships launched their cargo. Thousands of modified mining drones that swarmed toward enemy vessels like mechanical locusts. Enemy fleet is responding exactly as predicted, Tactical Officer Davidson reported. They're focusing their fire on the Thunderchild, ignoring our harmless civilian ships. The passenger liners, their luxurious interiors stripped out and replaced with banks of rail guns, revealed their true nature. Their bright hull paint contained reactive elements that created sensor ghosts, multiplying their apparent numbers. Thunder Squadron, begin your attack run. Catherine ordered. "Show them what those new hybrid fighters can do." Sarah led her fighters through the chaos, their new engines combining human engineering with captured alien technology. They moved in ways that defied both physics and logic, human instinct enhanced by advanced tech rather than replaced by it. The Drachnid fleet's formation began to break as they failed to counter the multiple unconventional threats. Their advanced targeting systems couldn't track the sensor ghosts. Their shields failed against weapons they had dismissed as primitive. "They're launching their super weapon," Rodriguez warned, as the massive planet-based cannon began to power up. Catherine's expression remained calm. "Execute final phase. Let's show them our last innovation." The civilian fleet moved into formation around the Thunderchild. Energy started to arc between the ships as the modifications Chief Mitchell had made activated. Each vessel added its power to a growing network, creating a massive electromagnetic field. "Power synchronization complete," Thomas reported. "Ready on your command." When the Drachnid superweapon fired, its massive energy beam met the combined electromagnetic field of the human fleet. Instead of destroying the ships, the energy was captured, redirected, and fed into the Thunderchild's main guns. "Return to sender," Catherine ordered quietly. The Thunderchild's modified main battery fired, using the enemy's own weapon energy against them. The blast tore through their defenses like paper, striking the superweapon's power core and setting off a chain reaction. As the Drachnid leadership surrendered, Catherine broadcast on all frequencies, "Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. Humanity never needed to match your technology. We just needed to remember who we are. The species that turns sticks and stones into tools, fire into a friend, and the very laws of physics into our allies. The war ended not with advanced technology, but with human ingenuity." The Thunderchild and its makeshift fleet became a symbol throughout the galaxy, a reminder that true power lies not in the sophistication of your weapons, but in the creativity to use whatever tools you have in ways no one expects. The balance of power had shifted, and the age of human innovation had begun.